This is the Voice of the Land podcast with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Nick Paulus.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome on in to another episode of the Voice of the Land podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kevin Arnold, and alongside me, as always, my brother, Nick Paulus, and of course, behind the proverbial glass, we have our producer, our main man, Peter Tellup. We are partnered with Web Streaming Studio by LPV and NEO Sports Network, and we want to welcome all the new listeners listening to us on Cuyahoga Valley Radio, CuyahogaValleyRadio.com, listening to us here on Saturdays at 4 p.m. We are the Voice of the Land podcast. We bring the voice of reason to Cleveland sports talk. We're trying to bring sports talk back to what it's supposed to be. Conversations that may or may not lead to a debate, heated debates from time to time. We don't need to yell across the table to one another.
Sometimes it happens, though. Let's not lie. Sometimes it happens.
Sometimes it happens. But if it happens naturally, right? We don't need to yell about every single topic like, oh my gosh, I had a banana for breakfast. Well, why would you go for banana for breakfast? You should only go for Lucky Charms or some sort of cereal. No, we don't have to generate that. We don't have to do it for the cameras, even though they're on now. Of course, you can still find us on all the major podcast platforms as well. Google, Spotify, Apple. Follow us at VTL_POD, at VTL_pod on Twitter. Of course, Paulus, you're on Twitter at CLE_Paulus, if you want to spell that out for everybody so they can hit you with those follows after our new broadcast here today.
Absolutely. CLE_Paulus, PAULUS. Go and follow.
Absolutely. And you can follow me at KevinIn7. That is KEVAN, because my parents wanted to spell both my sister and my name a little differently than the common way to spell Amy and Kevin. That is KEVANINSEVAN. So a little play on words there, and so you guys can follow me at KevinIn7 on Twitter. And of course, now we have an Instagram page. Working on the Facebook page, but we do have an Instagram page, and it is the same Twitter. It is the same handle as on Twitter, which is at VTL_pod on Instagram. We'll be posting some videos, some different content on there, just trying to get as much out there for everyone as possible. So go hit us with all those follows out there on social media. Speaking of social media, before we get into all the sports talk we got to get to Cavs, Indians. I mean, opening day's not even sold out yet.
Ton of different things.
The NFL Combine's going on, of course. But, you know, you and I had just a brief conversation. I just kind of want to touch on this because we're getting all these tags out there. We're making sure everybody follows us different places.
Right.
Hit us with those follows. I mean, I'll just keep saying it throughout the show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Voice of the Land Podcast, of course. But social media, where do you rank them, or how do you see the different social media sites? Which ones do you use most often?
I'm always on Twitter. It used to be, obviously, Facebook was like the major thing, 5-6 years ago, whatever.
Right.
But right now I am heavily on Twitter. I'm constantly on Twitter. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of addicted. But I am constantly using Twitter, more so YouTube now that we have the page up and running.
Right.
I consistently check out YouTube. Then probably Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
I'm not a huge Instagram. Do you consider Snapchat a social media sort of? Probably.
I do. I use Snapchat more than Instagram.
I never use Snapchat.
Really?
I have a Snapchat.
Right. Just sits there on the phone.
Just sits there.
Just takes up some data on the phone.
Literally does. But yeah, no, I really don't ever use Snapchat. A couple of buddies will hit me up with something, every once in a while, like a funny video or anything like that. But normally, I rarely use Instagram, Snapchat, not so much. Twitter, very heavily involved in that, and then Facebook a little bit. Really, honestly, the only time that I'm ever posting on Facebook anymore is whenever we do our pod updates or anything like that. So nothing really for myself, but for us getting out there,
right? That's
what I'm using it for now.
Yeah, you gotta
using it as a platform.
When you're trying to promote something, you definitely have to use a little bit more. And trust me, it's because when we first started this, I was kind of helping out with a lot of the promotion. You do so many good things for this podcast, and Peter is helping us out too. And I kind of want to get his thoughts on this social media thing too here in a second. But I was always going through the promotion, so I saw the tweet from our Voice of the Land podcast Twitter page, and then I would quote tweet that, and then go to Facebook to share the post that you had up there because you just kind of copied and pasted it over there, and then making sure to kind of make it unique for that. Get to Snapchat, do a little video, get the swipe up. Everybody's got those little selfie videos. You got swipe up, listen now, follow us, those types of things. But it was like, I would look at the time, and it was like 15, 20 minutes later. We're actually like, I got everything up and going. I was like, did it really take me just like 20 minutes, like a whole 20 minutes to get all this up there? I didn't feel like 20 minutes, but that took a long time to do that.
Right.
Peter, how do you feel about social media? Like, what do you use most right now, and how do you think that each one can impact anything people are trying to do out there?
Well, right now, I probably spend a lot of time on Facebook. Just I'm older, so I to keep in touch with family and friends and stuff like that through Facebook. But I don't know. It's I don't use Snapchat. I have a lot of friends that do, but that's like not my bag.
Snapchat's huge right now. It has been for the last couple of years.
Twitter, a lot of news comes through on Twitter. I get a lot of breaking updates. I know you guys talk about the updates from the sports world all the time on Twitter. It's, to me, that's great, but if I'm at my day job, I can't have that up. It's too much. I mean, I have people just on text messages I gotta block because otherwise they're blowing my phone up all day. And I don't have time for that. But I think with YouTube, it's the second biggest search engine behind Google. Getting this out there on YouTube is huge.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Facebook, you can get a lot of following on Facebook. But yeah, those are the main ones I do. I know Instagram is really up and coming. I have Instagram accounts for NEO Sports Network and for LPV Productions. I don't post a lot there. I probably need to get my kids to help me with that because they're probably or my wife. She's more up to date on all that stuff than I am. So
see, I feel like Instagram was big for a little bit, but it's easily forgettable for me.
Oh, totally.
When I'm going through and posting everything, Instagram for some reason is easily forgettable. Like I used to use Instagram and I used to go through like the search bar because then all these like videos based on what you follow, even if it was accounts you didn't, it was very similar. So I played Ultimate Frisbee in college. I played Club Ultimate Frisbee, and I followed a couple of accounts. Well, then there was other highlight ones accounts that would come up in just the main search bar, and I would just start scrolling through and watching these different highlight videos for that, or different basketball highlights or sport highlight type accounts that I never even thought to add as following them.
Sure.
So I could swipe through my own feed. I would just keep going to the search bar. Well, now I'm so addicted to going to the Facebook videos because I can just go through and spend hour, 2 hours, if I have the time, sometimes 3 hours just scrolling through that feed of Facebook videos. So I rarely go to Instagram because it's really just, you're posting pictures, you're posting stories or short little videos. Now they have the IGTV element where some of these videos that you can only do 2 minutes and 20 seconds, I think it is on Twitter. That's the maximum.
Right.
Well, on Instagram, it was only a minute, but now with the IGTV, if you post it and say that you're posting an IGTV, then it posts like a minute preview, and then it comes up with a little bar and says, keep watching or not. And then you can scroll past if you don't want to watch anymore or whatever.
Sure.
And I think that
gives you like a little bit of a, I don't know, like a bite-sized preview.
Yeah, bite-sized preview. And if you're interested and you get to a point, and at that minute point, if you still want to know, well, what else did they say? What else is going on here?
Right.
You can say
it's
keep
smart.
watching, or you can
it's...
keep scrolling. It is smart, but it's like if I post a story, it's on Snapchat, and I don't save I never download or save my stories either to then go over to Instagram.
Right.
And it's a little bit more user-friendly on Snapchat to try to add like all like the little swipe up stickers and like the different elements and the fun little, I guess, emojis or bitmojis, whatever they call them.
Right.
So Instagram is easily forgettable for me, but I'm always on Twitter because that's where the sports news comes
Breaking
through.
news, everything.
I mean, maybe I'm on my phone at work a little too much in between what I'm doing, but
aren't we all?
But we're also communicating with each other as well. All three of us are communicating at that time too. So, in times that we get a chance to, and I see the notification come through, I think it's helpful having the Apple Watch now, because like I'll feel like the little notification buzz on my wrist.
Yeah.
I'll look and see, and then when I have the time, like I know, hey, like these notifications aren't important. I don't have to go back to those. These ones, let me get to those, and I can narrow down what I need to take care of instead of going through and sifting through all the unnecessary stuff that goes through on the phone and trying to find what's important. I think having that watch now too has really helped kind of narrow down and organize the day a little bit better. I'm a very disorganized person that loves organization. That's weird to say.
Yeah.
But I
you say it out loud. Yeah, no, it definitely sounds weird.
When you say it out loud, but there's like certain areas, like if I'm at work or out of my house, I like organization. When I'm at home, just throw all the stuff on the floor and
chaos everywhere.
Yeah, like just to kind of like branch out from how organized and structured my week has had to be. So, let us know. Reach out to us at VTL_pod on Twitter, or at CLE Paulus, at Kevin7. And, of course, just let us know what are your favorite social medias, and what do you want to see out of us in terms of how we interact on social media as well, because we're trying to get out there on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the different social media sites. How do you want us to reach out to you so we can get the best content for all of you going on during the podcast? But we are here to talk about sports. That's what we do here at the Voice of the Land podcast. And for all the new listeners, again, on Cuyahoga Valley Radio, CuyahogaValleyRadio.com, you guys can follow them at, I believe it's CVRN_LLC on Twitter. Reach out to them as well, and you got all the different ways to listen on there. When we are here, we always talk about sports, and we have these good conversations. And there is a video. This is a nice little plug for our YouTube channel as well. If you want to know why we're called Voice of the Land, we just recorded a video last week that tells you exactly why we are the Voice of the Land podcast.
Go and check it out.
Go and check that out. Subscribe to our channel and figure out exactly why we named our podcast the way we will. We'll go back through that from time to time.
Subscribe. It's Voice of the Land podcast on YouTube.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
Go and check it out.
We just recorded last week, so we'll kind of give it a few weeks before we rehash that story. But it does deal with the Cavs, and the Cavs have been playing better basketball since the All-Star break. Now, under J.B. Bickerstaff, they are now 3-2. They got kind of blitzed last night by the New Orleans Pelicans, who are a young, athletic, up-and-coming team, and now having Zion out there on the floor has changed a lot for that team. They lost 13 games in a row at one point this season.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're 2 games back of the 8th seed in the Western Conference, and they play that traditional Western Conference style basketball, up and down the floor.
Run and gun.
Run and gun. The Cavs have not established that style of play yet, and they tried to play that kind of style last night, and I think they got sucked into that. And Kevin Love talked about it. Coach Bickerstaff talked about it. Even Colin Sexton talked about that as well. That they also can't get down on themselves. I want to know from you, Paulus, are we seeing in the more up-tempo or better style, better consistent basketball out there on the floor and beating some decent teams in this little stretch here? Are we seeing a culture being built? I know it's only 5 games in, so it's going to be tough to tell.
3-2, right.
But are they building a culture, or is it more of a facade? And did we see the real Cavs team last night, who's not able to keep up with anything because they've established so many bad habits, and now Coach Bickerstaff is challenged with trying to break that culture in a short amount of time, whether he gets a long-term extension or not?
Well, I think he is going to get a long-term extension. I just want to throw that out there right now. I think JB's done a fantastic job since taking over, this team at the halfway point here for us. Halfway point. All-Star break, comes in right around game 50, with 20-something games left.
25 to 30 games,
right? Yeah,
depending on where you're at.
Not many games left. Not the halfway point like it traditionally used to be.
Oh yeah.
That all being said, I think that the Cavs that we saw last night it's probably going to be like that for the rest of the year. I mean, we're gonna be in these games. We're gonna. It looked like a blowout last night. They cut the lead down in the fourth quarter and got it down to 116 to 104, so a 12-point game. So I mean, it was right around there. But
and I think it was 12 points going into the fourth as well. I think it was 95-83 after they were kind of getting beat up pretty bad by 20 plus points.
Yeah,
but they were to come back, and I turned it back on because I was flipping back and forth last night, and I turned it back on, and then Pelicans won another run to extend it out to 20 plus.
And I mean, you're going to see games like that happen.
Yeah.
It's the NBA. Runs happen for each team.
Even the best teams get blitzed like that from time to time.
Exactly, absolutely. That all being said, 3-2 since then, since the All-Star break, is a fantastic job. I mean, let's think about this. 2 weeks ago, whenever we're going into this, we didn't think that they would be able to win maybe like 6 games the rest of rest of the year. I mean, we were thinking, oh man, this is going to be a 16-win team that's just going to be awful all the way through. And they've not only done that, but they have a winning record so far. It's a great start here for us, coming out. I'm not expecting playoffs. I wasn't expecting playoffs. I mean, we're 9 games back or 10 games back now. Doesn't matter. You're out. Let's take that out.
Right.
That all being said, it's all about getting getting this young team up and running, getting them more experience, more. I don't know, like set the system in play. I mean, Colin Sexton's been through. This is his 4th head coach. 4th. In not even 2 years. It's absolutely ridiculous.
We say that too often for a lot of young athletes in this town.
Absolutely.
Besides the baseball team.
Baker Mayfield as well.
Right.
That all being said, I think that this is a very good start for this Cavs team, this very young core of Cavs team. I mean, I'm talking Garland, I'm talking Sexton, I'm talking Porter. I think the 2 beneficiaries so far have been Porter and Sexton. Sexton's been balling out.
Yeah.
These last 5 games, he's been averaging like 25, 26 points. He's been doing a fantastic job, and I'm so happy to see that because I've told you many times before, he's basically my favorite player in the NBA just because I play just like him. I mean, just run into the basket, throw it up, hopefully something goes in.
Right.
More so for him it goes in, not so much for me. That being said, it's just so much fun watching this young Cavs team grow. And that's all I want to see. The rest of the year, I just want to see him grow. Even if they have a losing record, throughout, finishing up this year, I'll be okay with that, knowing that we got JB coming back next year, Sexton, Porter, Garland. Hopefully Garland sets up his game a little bit better because he's always really hit or miss.
Yeah.
More so miss than not. But I have faith in the guy.
He's been coming on, though, as of late, too.
He has turned it on.
He's been progressing. A little bit. And similar to what Sexton did last year, he got a lot of flack for being the 8th pick and not really playing well at all for most of the season.
Everyone calling out Colin Sexton like, oh, 8th pick of the draft.
Right.
He's the 8th pick of the draft. Honestly, he's probably a top 5 sophomore player. If you think about it, I mean, he's top 5. I mean, what more could you ask for? He's not the number 1 pick.
No.
He doesn't have the talent to be the number 1 pick. He's a very good player. He could make an all-star team. I keep saying this. He could make an all-star team. But that's down the road. It's not right now.
And if put in the right position for a guy that can go get his own shot, I think the most important thing that you've seen, and hopefully this continues, is he doesn't have to create his shot for himself throughout the whole possession, throughout the whole 24-second shot clock. Yeah, he's been scoring a lot of points, but in those wins that they've had, he's scored a lot of points but able to move the ball around, and it somehow finds him again. Because if you are generating the energy and the basketball is moving, when that basketball has energy in it and it's being moved, it's not just being dribbled like the old days with LeBron, the first round with LeBron, where just ISO at the top.
ISO
LeBron,
all the time.
Let LeBron go to work, didn't have the shooters around to kick it out, so he tried to go up against 5 different guys. Yeah, he's strong enough to do it, and you saw some great plays from him, and he's got great highlights. He's one of a kind. You're not going to get that kind of thing out of most guys. Once in a generation type players.
I was going to say that. Once in a generation. You're not going to see that from Colin Sexton. I'm sorry.
Right, but it frustrated the heck out of us as Cavs fans when we saw that. And when it helps when you play better or when you have more success. And in the LeBron era, Let's face it. There's a lot more success there than in the non-LeBron eras that we've seen over the last 20 or so years. So with Colin Sexton, if you generate energy in that basketball and it's moving and you're not generating energy by just dribbling it, and defenses can just key in on you because defenses aren't what they used to be. No. They're not physical anymore. You can't be as physical out there on the floor.
NBA has changed dramatically over our lifetime.
Right. So if you move the ball a little bit, that opens up so much space for back cuts or little cuts to the basket or even shots from the corner, three-point baskets. That's become the main thing to look at, shooting from deep. So those are the types of things you're hoping for. My fear, though, and in my heart, I'm hopeful that we've seen a culture change. In my head, I just fear that this is a facade with everybody that's still on this team.
Sure.
The veterans that were so used to just being able to turn it on because they knew that they were going to be in a position to compete for a championship when LeBron was here. And they could just turn it on when they needed to and just go to that guy. Guess what? You don't have that guy. Kevin Love still isn't that guy. At times you see a great leader. At times you see a guy that just wants to pout and falls into those bad habits. And I'm not saying that we need to get rid of Kevin Love or Tristan Thompson, but they need to change their mindset to be that hungry player that they once were when they were in situations with the Cavs in Minnesota.
You see that more with Tristan than you do with Kevin.
Right.
I 100% agree with you. I think Kevin has turned it on a little bit now because let's be honest, I don't think that they agreed with anything John Beilein had to say because John Beilein's a college coach.
And he wants to put him to work.
He had zero experience of the NBA.
Right, and connecting with veterans.
Mindset, anything like that. Yeah, absolutely, with the veterans. And that's an issue. If you don't have the pedigree of an NBA player or coach or lifestyle, they're not going to listen. They're not going to follow you. And why should they? Let's be honest about this. Why should they follow someone that has never been on that level before? You're going to want to follow JB. You're going to want to follow, the people that have that have done this before. That's why they didn't follow John Beilein.
Right, and I understand that. I think, though, as veterans, you can't be the first ones so quickly to turn against someone just because they don't have that pedigree. They may not have that pedigree, but they have the ability to develop that pedigree. And if you don't even give someone a chance, we give so many people, and rightfully so, whether it's in life, in sports, whatever, we give people second chances.
Sure.
But if you can't even give someone a first chance, and you just already, it's almost like it's the saying, don't judge a book by its cover. If you're doing that and not allowing and soaking in what that person has to offer for you and how they're trying to help you and how you can help them, then that is a problem, especially in sports as a leader on the team.
Yeah.
You need to, even if you don't necessarily agree initially with the direction, you need to give it a chance, and you need to make sure the young players that are so influential that are in a player-driven league that the NBA is. And I know the NFL players want to turn the NFL into the NBA more so than having it being owner-driven as they feel it is.
Yeah.
With all that going on. We'll get into that later. But the NBA is so player-driven. When young guys come in, they're going to be influenced more by the veterans that have been a part of that culture already, more so than a coach trying to establish any culture at all if they're so new like Beilein was. So I do criticize Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson, those veterans for not being that sort of influence. If you got to this point of the season and it still wasn't working and Beilein just did not have the capability to connect with older players at all and you gave it that chance,
sure,
you went as far as you could, I understand where you're coming from with that frustration and why should they give him a chance. But I think it was so early on that they did not, and that's what got them back to this culture and just being now on a 2-year track of just being one of the worst teams in the league, not seeing any sort of effort or culture change of what you need to develop to get back to NBA relevance like we talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the players deserve criticism, and Beilein deserves some of the criticism as well for not being able to connect with that and being maybe chew into what his culture already said and what he established in college thinking that was automatically going to translate. Just assumed it was just going to translate to the NBA and didn't think through that process through the offseason. There was a lot that went on wrong. I'm just fearing that the bad habits are just still so stuck in this culture. I'm hoping over the last part of this season, we do see more so of the 3 wins than we do the 2 losses under JB Bickerstaff. And if he gets an extension, then there is an actual direction for the Cavs. We've talked about how we don't know if there is one. If he gets an extension, you see a culture change, guys are starting to buy in, even veterans are starting to buy in, and the young guys follow, then you can have more hopeful faith, more so than I already do right now, that a culture will change and relevance will come back in basketball to the city of Cleveland.
100% agree with you. I think that having that culture change, even just by bringing back JB, is huge. I mean, It is a fantastic step in the right direction. Getting these players to, step forward and agree with the coaching style as well would be a huge culture change, culture shift as well. That all being said, we still have a long ways to go before we even make the playoffs. Okay, before we grab any major free agents, it's going to be a long road ahead, Cleveland Cavalier fans. But we can get there. We can show up and we can do the right things and get us right back on the right track. Maybe not be LeBron-esque years,
right?
Because I think that's a once in a generation sort of thing. Like
where one guy can lead a whole franchise. You see a lot of these younger teams that are maybe middle of the pack between that 3 to 6 seed that are more teams. I mean, the Indiana Pacers.
Just going to say that. Indiana. Yeah.
When they have Victor Oladipo playing at his best, he's still nowhere near that LeBron once-in-a-generation player.
But they're a 3 seed.
It's just having that player just helps take you further, but that's a team culture. Indiana's known for its basketball anyway.
And the way that the
Boston.
East, the Boston, the Boston, they have a great coach. They have a great, front office. They have the pedigree.
But that's a team. Jason Tatum is starting to show out. Jaylen Brown, but that is a team that has come together because they've established a culture.
We need to strive more so for the Indiana Pacers than the Boston Celtics because we don't have that degree of pedigree as what Boston has. That being said, Indiana, phenomenal. I mean, they are a consistent 3 to 6 seed every single year, no matter who's on the court.
Right.
That's what you want to strive for because in the East, let's be honest, the East is wide open. I mean, anyone can make it to the NBA Finals, and as long as you get to the dance, anything can happen. We saw it with Toronto last year. I mean, they had Kawhi Leonard.
But they're still near the top.
But they were still near the top. Yeah, absolutely.
And who's at the top? Milwaukee, because they have who people think is another one of those once-in-a-generation type players.
Unless you're James Harden, who thinks that you're at least you can be 7 foot tall. Glad you can dunk. Shut up, James.
Yeah, I mean,
just shut up.
Yeah, I mean, he was third fiddle to Westbrook and KD for a while, and then got to break out. And
do you remember whenever Giannis threw the ball and hit James in the face last year? I want to see that on repeat all the time now.
That video's going around. That video's going around. I think I saw a tweet where it said, when you mention being 7 foot is so easy,
ding,
and then you see and it's like Giannis throws the ball at Harden. So it's those things are going to happen. Maybe beasts like that are going to happen. But Milwaukee is at the top of the East because they have that player, but they also have a lot of players around there that have established a team culture.
Yeah.
Even when LeBron was back here, we still even with LeBron and Kyrie, it was still like give the ball to LeBron, give the ball to Kyrie. It wasn't that team basketball movement that you saw Golden State when they brought those 3 guys up from draft prospects to an actual culture and being that team. That is the model you're seeing more so in the NBA now than having just one guy that can lead a whole franchise like you have in the past. And there's elements of that from the past too. The Bulls, the Lakers with Magic, the Bulls with Jordan and Pippen, Magic, Kareem for the Lakers. Those types of super teams that weren't necessarily developed the same way now. It's just team culture. And it's going to take the one word that we hate in Cleveland sports. Do you know what that word is, Paulus?
Patience.
Patience. Another word that starts with a P, though. The one word that a lot of Cleveland fans hate to hear, and especially when it comes to the football team, but more just in general for the whole sports culture.
I'm drawing a blank right now.
Process.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to
Trust
be
the process, yeah.
Yeah, and not what the 76ers did.
Right.
It's going to be a process to get basketball back to being relevant in the NBA.
It's a good call. Yeah.
You can get that process going if you make the right decisions, have the right people in place, and have the players that can get that culture going and bring all the new guys along and say, this is how we do things. If you're not here to do that, you can walk out that door right now. That's what a great culture is in professional sports. Speaking of great cultures, though, there has been one that's been pretty consistent over the last few years, and that is the baseball team.
8 years. 8 years strong.
And why? Because you have a great front office, you have a great manager, and you have players that are developed the right way through the minor league system, especially the pitchers. But all of the players, they are developed the right way, and it's a certain culture. It's the same message from low A or even Arizona League all the way up to the big leagues.
Owner's a little tight on money.
That's the one issue. What's surprising this week, though, is the home opener is not sold out. It usually sells out in minutes, especially when the team is good, at most 15 minutes. When the team is good, we've seen it sell out in 3 or 4 minutes. And if you're trying to get in the queue to try, like the line online to get those tickets, you get locked out.
Yeah.
Because they just sell out so quick. We are 6 days past the point of releasing single-game tickets for the Cleveland Indians, and it's still not sold out. Why is that? What is really generating this lack of anticipation or excitement to get opening day tickets like we've seen in Cleveland in the past? Because that is like that's like a city holiday.
I know.
Every single year.
Peter, I want to know if we can add like just a round of applause for the city of Cleveland. Yeah. Round of applause if you're watching.
The video now.
Right. We got it on the video. If we can add the round of applause to the city of Cleveland, because thank you for not buying into the BS that they are selling you. I love the Indians. I think that the Indians are going to be good this year. I think that they're going to contend for that AL Central, right along with the Minnesota Twins. The rest of the division's crap. We know that.
Right.
But I think that you're going to see them contend. They're going to win right around 88 to 92 games, kind of what they did last year. I saw somewhere that they thought that they might win, close to 94 or whatever. Good for you, and I'm glad for that. But you are not buying in to the Dolan bullcrap that they're doing. Unless they are going to start spending money on this team, instead of shedding the money from Corey Kluber. So let me get back to this. Corey Kluber, you shed Corey Kluber's $17 million contract. You tell us you're doing it because you're going to bring in more people. You bring in like
Delano DeShields.
Thank you. You bring in people like that for cheap money, like $3 million, whatever. There's still people out there. Where's Yasiel Puig?
Where's he going?
Yasiel Puig has not signed yet. They're talking about he might be going to the Rockies, which would be a fantastic place for him to go. Like that'd be a perfect spot for him. But you could have had him back here. You shed that contract. You shed that Kluber contract for a reason. But you're not going to bring him back. No, fan favorite. You're not going to want to bring him back. You don't want to bring back, or you say you're trying to work out contract extensions with Frankie. I don't believe it because you said that you don't want to spend the $35 million a year for that. And it is going to cost you $350 million, over 10 years in order to keep that, to keep him here.
Right.
We can go back and forth all day if you think that that's the right move to do or not. But if you own a ball club and you expect sellouts, and you remember the 476 sellouts or whatever the number is. Yeah. It's because they were spending. Absolutely, they were spending money then, but they don't want to spend money now. It's under new ownership. I get it, but I am so happy and thankful that this has not sold out yet. And it's a terrible look for us. Yeah. It's a bad look. Don't let anybody fool you. It's a bad look, Cleveland, because it hasn't been sold out yet. But it's not on us. It's on the Cleveland Indians because they are not the ones that are dishing out the cash like they should be. I'm so happy of you, Cleveland. Thank you. Round of applause again. Whoop. Round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, Cleveland.
Be careful with that.
Be careful.
We can't break it. We're only a few weeks into this new equipment, and we can't break it already.
It's true.
It's on two entities.
Okay.
It is on the Cleveland Indians, and it's also on Major League Baseball. Opening day is March 26th.
2 days before someone's birthday, right?
No, the day of.
Oh, that is the day. Oh, that's 2 days before my wife's birthday.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah.
I thought you and my wife had the same birthday.
No.
I forgot about that.
If you're thinking about your wife before me, that's okay. I mean, I understand. Okay. Trust me. I understand.
Hey, Kelly.
Shout out. But it's on March 26th. Now, it's one thing to start the season earlier, maybe stretch out the season a little bit more. You're playing 162 games. But why are you doing that in a cold weather town where even if
it is super early,
even if we have a later home opener, like the season starts, let's say April 2nd, and a week or so later, April 10th, we'll have our home opener because we start on the road. It's still cold because even the weather people in this town say you could get snow. You always project snow at least through tax day. April 15th here in Cleveland. We could get snow in late April or May. It's still a possibility, but the majority of the time, the average amount of time is all the way through tax day to really be paying attention to cold weather and possible snow. We had games in April that got snowed out, and they had to go play the home opener in the first series in Milwaukee at one point. And you're going to put the season in cold weather towns starting earlier in March with still basically a week to go left in that month, let alone starting very early in April when there's still cold weather. People aren't going out to ball games. You're getting at most 8,000 people, and that's 8,000 tickets sold. Not necessarily everybody showing up either to the ballpark. You don't see it until June, July when people start to walk up, late May, early June, get the walk-up crowds. And, I mean, it's a mid-market town. That's the way it is. I don't think that discredits Cleveland fans or how we see the Cleveland Indians. It's just how it goes in a town like this. Rob Manfred has got a lot of issues on his hands.
He's an idiot. Come on. Let's be honest.
He is. He is one of, if not the worst commissioner in all of sports.
He's the worst.
In sports history. Doesn't understand situations.
I don't know about history, but yeah, he's the worst right now.
Right now, I mean, that's just where my mind is at.
Sure.
It's at least one of the worst all time in history, and worst right now currently.
Rank them
right now.
Top three commissioners. NHL doesn't count.
Adam Silver.
Yes. Goodell.
If you go top three, if you go the three sports. Basketball, baseball, football.
Yeah.
I'd have to go Silver, large gap. Goodell, large gap, Rob Manfred.
So we're going Silver.
Yeah, if you're going
right here. Silver, then 50 feet of crap.
Yeah.
Goodell.
Yep.
And then 1,000 yards of crap.
Well, you can't see my hand anymore.
Right, yeah, it is off the board.
Yes, Rob Manfred.
100% agree.
And Goodell's getting closer to being under the...
I don't have an issue with Goodell as much as what everyone else does. I mean, I know suspensions. Yeah. He basically makes up his own rules. We've talked about this before.
There's just too much change when there doesn't need to be there.
But I'm sorry. Continue.
Right. Rob Manfred is just awful, terrible. Can't read situations. You got the whole thing going on with the Houston Astros, and now, I mean, that's already started. Guys being thrown at has already started in spring training.
Absolutely. They've been hit 7 times so far.
Yeah.
In 7 games, I think. Right. It's fantastic. Keep it going, MLB.
Yeah. So you can't even you want to start the season earlier, and you're going to put it in cold weather towns. That's part of it. I'm sorry, people don't want to sit out there.
It's like we don't have an Arizona franchise or a Miami franchise or a Texas, like a couple of Texas franchises.
Going all around like the southern coast up to the west coast.
Or Milwaukee, who has, like these dome teams. Like the fact that the Yankees and Boston and the Indians and Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs all have to play in these snow games to start off the year, it's absolute crap.
Right. So Major League Baseball is at fault for this.
Yes.
The Indians are at fault. I'm not even going to add a third entity. I'm not calling out Indians fans, but there is a certain element to that I'm going to get to in a second. But the Indians share a lot of responsibility, more so Dolan. The Dolan family, Paul Dolan, also one of the worst owners out there. Because you know what I think, why the reports are out there that there's negotiation with Frankie and the Indians to get a long-term deal going, long-term extension? I think it's Chris Antonetti negotiating with Paul Dolan, trying to say, look, this isn't just like the guys that were here in the 90s. And the front office has been so good for so long because each guy teaches the next one what to do and how to operate and what the culture really is here for baseball and how to be creative and try to get back to being competitive, build up the minor leagues, and move forward. I think it's Antonetti going with Paul Dolan saying, guess what? This isn't just Jim Thome, Manny Ramirez, those guys of the past that we had that were big players, but we had a team of a lot of players to create this great baseball city, great baseball culture, and competitive baseball. We have one of the top 5 players in all the major league who is one of the faces of this league here in Cleveland that is telling you he wants to play here, not just to say it to the fans, not just to play it up. He goes out of his way sometimes in interviews to make sure that he lets it known that he loves it here and wants to win here. Does he play it up a little bit too much? Every player is going to. You're going to get those player, coach, manager cliches all the time, and you have to read through that crap from time to time. But Frankie is being genuine for the most part about that. And you have one of those guys here. I know, and trust me, I understand the market. I saw from the Ken Carman show, forgetting his name right now, but Anthony Lima was on Twitter saying, well, if you think that we can sign Frankie for $350 million, then you really don't understand the culture of baseball or the market that we're in. I give them a lot of credit for what they're trying to do.
Right.
No, I understand the market that we're in, and I understand what that can do to your payroll moving forward. But guess what? You have a great front office. You have put these guys in place to have the role of, if we extend a guy and spend a little bit more for a guy that's worth it, to finagle the rest of the roster to put quality baseball players around there to develop a 9-player lineup. And we develop our pitchers so well in our minor league system, we have a plethora of great pitching. We are still set up to be successful. Even if we may have one down year, we're not going to be down for 10, 15 years.
Right.
Would you rather be down for a year, every 1 year, and then be competitive for the next 5 and then kind of have those down years go through that cycle, or go through 10, 15 years of bad baseball, then finally have one successful year, 2 successful years back to back, and then go back to 10 to 15 years?
I don't think that it's not like that, though, because of the way that Tito has.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right. As long as you have Tito here, I think that you're going to get good, consistent baseball, no matter who's on that, who's on that field.
Right, but you have the player to lead that culture. And you have that staple in your lineup the way that every great team in the past has had.
Right. And I agree. You need to have a great player on your team in order to be consistently good. That wants to be here. That wants to be here and be consistently good and get this team rolling. I mean, you're looking at teams like, I think one of the most overrated players in MLB history is Bryce Harper. Mm-hmm. It was proved last year. And I was 100% right on that.
Yeah.
And the reason why they're so good, and everyone's, we're talking about Frankie saying that you need to have that at least one consistently good person here. Bryce Harper wasn't that person. You know who was that person? Max Scherzer.
Yeah.
That was the one person that led this team.
Yeah.
And led that team.
Yep.
And you need someone like that on in your club. And for us, it is Frankie.
The one guy that's willing to go through the injury issues, because Scherzer got hit in the eye last year and was still trying to battle through all those different things that were kind of ailing him.
Yeah, he came out with a broken nose.
Yeah,
and black eyes.
The Nationals were a team that won a World Series. Yeah, you had the Astros that have all these great players trying to put this great lineup together. But the Nationals had that one guy to kind of lead them, but also quality guys around them that molded into what the manager was trying to say, what Scherzer was saying, and guys willing to go out there no matter what. Frankie is out there every single day, no matter what. You may see him tweak an ankle or be limping around. Guess what? There's question marks on if he's going to be in the lineup the next day. Is he? More often than not, yes, he is. You have that guy that a lot of people will follow. It's not about being great. It's about being a great leader, and he is. He is the extension of Tito Francona out there on the field, and they need to figure out a way to extend him, or else we're going to go through this point of the trade deadline and he's going to be gone. It's one of the two things. They're either going to extend him or is he going to be traded at the trade deadline this year? That's where my mind is at with that. In terms of the fans, it is going to be cold in March. I get that we're a football town. If you are, I will say, if fans are willing to sit out there on cold weather days when the team sucks, like the Browns have in the December months, and you still go out there and pack the different lots, like the Muni lot and tailgate and things like that.
The pit. Yep.
Yeah, out there on cold weather days, and some people not even wearing warm clothes either, being dumb to a certain extent in that sense. You can sit outside on one of the best days in Cleveland sports each year and go out to a cold weather game. It's just the extreme of that weather. There's more potential for more extreme weather that doesn't even allow you to get the game in. That's why it's really on Major League Baseball and the Indians and the fans finally sending a message, which I, just like you, applaud them for finally sending that message. And let's keep that going so that this ownership understands baseball can be good here, doing the right things, being creative, even in a mid-market town. Now, we just mentioned the Browns. Closing out with them, I know usually we'll start with the Browns because there's so many big stories going on. Earlier this week, there was a bit of a bigger story, kind of media-related going on here. We don't really want to – we're not going to get into that. I'm just going to say that right now. I don't know if there's anything that you need to say here, Paulus, about what happened. We all know that there was an issue with media members saying something that they regret. And going forward, Tony Grossi, the beat reporter, said something he regrets. Apologies have been said. Genuine apologies have been said, trying to move past that point. An unfortunate moment for all involved, but it was quickly, moved on. Baker didn't say anything, and all the apologies were out there. Is there anything that you wanted to kind of touch on with that topic or able to touch on with that topic?
Just to give a heads up, I do work with ESPN, 850 Cleveland. I'm a producer there. Been on the radio, done that, and I love working with them.
Yeah.
Our statement is that we are not authorized to comment, at this time, and we're going to let things work themselves out. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. So I just want to give a heads up. That's exactly what I'm going to have to do. Got to play by the rules, everybody. And that's because, it is my job. Upper management wants us to state that because it is the right thing to do. So just want to say that. I do want to say that I do know Tony Grossi, and I think that he is a fantastic man. He's actually my first interview, and I truly do believe that he is a very good, gracious man, and that's what I'm going to say.
Right, and like I said, we're not going to dwell on this too long at all. Everybody involved in this, I know, regrets what happened, and we both have connection with people over there, and we've seen the type of person, whether we talk about on the field or immaturity or not with Baker, you've seen the good things that he does. And he does a lot of stuff with Special Olympics, helping out at food banks, things like that. So there are a lot of good-natured people, and we are all humans. I'm just going to keep this to a general kind of conversation. We are all human. We all make mistakes. And it is how you react after those mistakes, how you try to bring yourself and learn from those moments and become a better person. It doesn't stop at a certain age either. The learning process as humans and the capabilities, the unfortunate capabilities of making mistakes, whether it's small or big, they never stop throughout your life. But if you are willing, and I know everybody in this situation and that have made mistakes in the past are all willing to learn from their mistakes and move forward and show the true person that they are, not just allowing one mistake to define who they are. And that's just human nature. That's where it is, and that's where we're going to kind of leave that conversation. But those conversations that kind of transitions to where those things unfortunately happen, which is at the Combine. And the Browns brass is there. They're evaluating all the talent because you can't just look at there's 200 I don't even know how many players they
usually bring in like 270 something people over the course of an entire roster basically.
And there's about 250 or so picks in the NFL draft, depending on how many compensatory picks. Wow,
yes.
Can't even talk towards the end of this podcast. Compensatory picks that kind of get doled out based on free agency or things of that nature, that extends out. You're looking like 252. I've seen some years 256.
It goes
wherever
like,
Mr.
right.
Irrelevant goes. That's in those like that 250 range. So there's a lot of players you have to evaluate, not just for your first pick in the first round if you have one, but also those lower level guys that are going to fill out your roster, those second and third round guys that could still be starters for you, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh rounders that are going to be fill out your roster, be practice squad guys, could develop into something moving forward, and even the ones that don't get picked, there's some you're going to evaluate that are going to be undrafted free agents, and you see so many stories now in the NFL of undrafted free agents that have some more success than middle round pick guys in this draft. So they're doing their due diligence just like every other 31 NFL team. What position are you looking at? I know we've talked about offensive line, linebackers, Joe Schobert being talked about. Packers are interested in him, may create a hole there. What position are you looking at, and have you gotten a chance to see any of the combine, Paulus?
A little bit, of the combine. Unfortunately, AT&T, who I go through, does not provide the NFL combine.
Yeah.
They have that. They don't have that, but they have TLC, which has Dr. Pimple Popper, which is what my wife loves to watch.
Please.
That's not. I was looking. You and I were talking about it on Twitter here later. Later in the week, and I was hoping to find the NFL combine over at my mother-in-law's house,
yeah.
And unfortunately she has AT&T as well.
Okay.
But of course they turned on TLC, and there's the Dr. Pimple Popper and some foot show. I don't know. My feet are killing me is what it's called. What? And apparently they show screws going into people's foots.
No.
Nasty.
No.
Terrible stuff. Terrible stuff.
I'm getting like the heebie-jeebies over
here.
Can we switch back to football, please?
I know. That all being said, I was able to catch a couple of things on the combine, thankfully through Twitter.
Yeah.
And I saw it, Mekhi Becton. Big dude, 6'7", 364 pounds.
Can
move. I mean, he ran the 40 in 5.1 seconds, which is fantastic for a guy that big. I mean, it's ridiculous. Wirfs, the other tackles, 6'4", 320 pounds. Those are like the top two guys that, a lot of the Browns fans and media think that we're going to end up possibly getting. He ran a 4.84 or 4.87, something absolutely ridiculous. I want one of those guys. I want an offensive tackle that can move. I don't care about a 40-yard dash for an offensive lineman. That doesn't matter. But the 10-yard splits that they do, it's like 1.5 seconds or whatever it was. You need offensive linemen that can move within that 10-yard radius, really. I'm really looking forward to them doing that. I don't think anyone's going to fall. Like an Okudah, and honestly, with the Browns, I don't need Okudah on this team. Ohio State cornerback, and like I love what he's done, and he's going to be a fantastic player.
Yes, he is.
But we don't need that. We really don't.
Denzel Ward, you're hoping Greedy takes that step forward this year.
Absolutely, you hope Greedy turns the step on that, and I think he will. But Chase Young's not falling.
No.
I mean, I highly doubt Simmons is going to be falling. From Clemson, the hybrid linebacker safety. I don't think that he's going to be falling.
He has the potential to.
Sure.
Due to the constant need for quarterbacks and how that translates, how quickly those top three quarterbacks go, and if another team needs one, if that Jordan Love or one of those other quarterbacks are deemed and that someone needs to jump up to go get them, and they get overdrafted based on all the quote-unquote experts where they have them rated on their top players and their quarterback list, he would be the one player that would, I guess, wouldn't benefit from that. He would kind of fall, but a team will benefit by him falling to them within the top 10. He's not getting to number 10, though.
No.
He may get past 5, but some team after 5 is going to get him, if that.
Right, yeah, no, absolutely. Once again, I really want one of the offensive linemen. That's really what I'm looking for. All of this talk has really led to the combine aspect, though.
Right.
And real quick here for us as we're wrapping up, because we only got a couple minutes left here.
Yeah.
I want to know some combine stats. For you
Okay.
personally.
All right.
Now I know that we haven't done any of these combine sets. I think it's a good thing. What we should do, and Peter, I would love to get your thought on this. We should do a combine thing between we do the three of us, and be able to figure out what our 40 times are right now.
Yeah.
And like maybe this will be like a year thing. Like we'll do it right now, and then a year from now, like we'll see like the Run Rich Run.
Yeah.
How he always does the running of the 40-yard dash, and
if there's a way to contribute from Voice of the Land to St. Jude Hospital for children's
we're all about
pediatric
charity
research,
here, people. We're all about charity.
We
What do you
can
think?
definitely
Do you want to run a 40?
We should probably film that because it would probably be pretty hilarious to watch me run a 40.
That's what I'm saying. We'll get one of these cameras and we'll run the 40. We'll do a vertical jump. We'll do the broad jump. I want to know, what do you think that you could run for a 40?
Well, what do you think I could run for 40?
Okay,
I want to get you. We'll end this on like a fun note here.
6'4", 320 man just ran 4.8.
Okay. Yeah.
I think you. When was the last time you did that you ran? Like not like treadmill run, but like Sprinted.
Well, I mean, I guess couldn't even say the basketball game that we played a week ago because we were only playing half-court basketball with the space availability. I did run a 40 at training camp, but it was also like 9 o'clock in the morning. It was like in the back of that facility. Yeah. It was like the shade was still there, so it was like a lot of like dew on the ground. I wish I would have had my cleats on.
Okay, people.
All right, look,
there was a lot of dew on. I didn't stretch enough. I didn't.
No, trust me. Like I should have ran a lot faster, but I would need the cleats on. I gotta have
5.2.
It was like 5. It was like 5 flat. I think it was
5 flat. Okay, well that's pretty good.
With like a big slip of that, I almost fell on my face, which would have been funny. And
that would have been pretty good.
Yeah, I wish someone
catch on camera.
Yeah,
right.
I was racing a buddy, or else I should have had him filming it so that could have gotten that fall because it would have been one of those funny falls.
Now you and I haven't ran a 40, and we talked about this, I believe, last year.
Yeah.
I haven't run a 40 since high school, since my going into my senior year for high school. And I ran a 4.92 back then. And I thought that was fantastic. As long as I got under 5, I was happy with that.
Yeah.
What could I run now?
I'm going to give you a 5.3.
You're high. You got to be higher than hell right now. At 5'3", I am 300-something pounds. Like, there's no way. I guarantee you.
Like a 6 plus, 7 plus?
7 at least. Probably closer to 8.
Just trying to give you some credit, buddy.
I appreciate that, but no, don't worry about that.
I got new listeners. I'm trying to give you some credit here. Now you're just demeaning yourself to new people.
I used to be quick. But that all led to this. What do you think my vertical was? I did my vertical 2 years, or I'm sorry, it was the Baker draft, so it would have been 3 years ago now, coming up to 3 years, because Baker's going into his third year.
He's going into his third year, but that would have been 2018 was that draft though, right?
Yeah. So 2
years. Yeah, 2 years. Yeah.
Okay. For my bachelor party, we went down to Dallas, which is where the draft was, and they had the whole NFL Combine, everything out there. What do you think my vertical was? Just to let you know, not Mekhi Becton, Wirfs
went 36. He
went
set the record for tackles, 36
and a half.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you. I'm thinking 22 and a half.
Damn. Well done, sir. You are good at this.
Yeah, I know.
You are damn good at this.
See, that's why I was trying to give you credit, because I knew
22 and a half is exactly what I got.
Wait, really?
Swear to you
on my life. I've been on a roll,
22 and a half, which I thought was fantastic because our buddy Bill, from the league, who ended up winning the championship, he only got 19. And he is, he's like you. He's a slim, trim guy, but like he only got 19. And I outjumped him. I thought that was the greatest moment of my life.
So what would you jump now? 2 years later, what would you jump now?
6. No, I could probably get like 12 to 15. That's not high, but like 2 years ago was before I got married and added all this weight and get happy and fat. So I think I'd probably go about 15.
Peter, what could you run and what could you jump right now?
Oh man, I haven't. Well, like Paula said, high school, which was for me a long time ago. I don't even know. Under a minute. Definitely could do a 40 under a minute. In vertical, I don't even know. I don't actually think I've ever had my vertical measured.
Yeah, I've never really had my vertical measured. What do you think I could jump right now? Looking at me, what do you guys think?
I think you could do probably 26.
26?
26.
Yeah, I'd
solid 27.
I would think that's about right.
Yeah.
I'd have to make sure I had that KT tape on that knee though.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I really
you don't want that you don't want that blowing out.
I think I do need to get that checked out though, because without the tape on there,
yeah,
it's consistently hurting me now instead
of
just
wobbly.
like going like every now and again kind of coming through, because like a few years ago fell on the ice at Cleveland State and like knee got all twisted and stuff. I don't want to get into the details like you were trying to do on Dr. Pimple Popper or whatever going on TV
shows,
now.
Man.
Oh my
TLC, you guys are killing me.
You know, I tried to work out one night and like my girlfriend and I, we picked treadmills and it was like right in the middle of the whole line of TVs up above us.
Yep.
And what was in one peripheral and the other?
What?
TLC, Dr. Pimple Popper on a whatever night that is, like Thursday night or something like that.
Yeah, Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah.
She loves that stuff, and definitely not.
I can't watch it.
But if I have the knee taped, I could probably do that 26 and probably get maybe 4.7, 4.8 in the 40. Having that knee taped and getting those.
We'll do
strapping those old boots, as they say in soccer.
Gets a little warm out. We'll head to a track and we'll do this, and we'll videotape it and make sure that it gets out there on YouTube.
Yeah.
So
we'll do our own combine.
Someone's busting their ass though. I guarantee that.
Yeah, we'll do our own combine when the weather permits, because we don't have a dome like Lucas Oil Stadium.
True.
So we don't really got many facilities
like
that.
We'll see if Berea can open up for us. Yeah, there we go.
We'll get like
Brown's shout out.
Yeah, they keep all that stuff well manicured and everything. We get some, get the quality professional level cut of the grass and everything and get it all lined for us and run it that way. But so things to look forward to. We also have guests that will be coming on. Reached out to a lot of people this week, and a lot of interest, and we're going to be communicating with all of them here soon. So stay tuned for that. Going to have a lot of great guests. The ones we reached out to, other ones we have in mind that do a lot of great things in the podcast realm, the sports media realm, mentors for us, all of those good things still to come. And, of course, all of the connections, partnerships we do now have. We appreciate everybody that is listening right now on CuyahogaValleyRadio.com and all the different ways to listen to them, all the new listeners there. We appreciate you tuning in today. Hopefully you tune in every Saturday at 4 o'clock. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Voice of the Land Podcast on YouTube. Of course, you can still find us on Google, Spotify, and Apple. And, of course, we appreciate and love our partnership as well with Web Streaming Studio by LPV, NEO Sports Network. And thank you so much to our man behind the proverbial glass, Peter Tillett, for producing us here as he has the last few weeks. Thank you so much to you, Paulus. Of course, always appreciate the opportunity to get together with you.
Absolutely.
Follow us on Twitter at VTL_POD for all the latest on the podcast, different polls, and let us know what you think, what we need to do out there. Facebook page to come. Instagram page just getting going at VTL_pod on there as well. Getting all those tags out there just to remind everybody. So for Nick Paulus, for Peter Tillett, I'm Kevin Arnold. As we say at the end of every podcast and every episode, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. And we love you all who listen to us. We love you all 3,000. Thank you so much, and we will see you all next week. Bye.